The next chapter is about your ability to connect various independent events to understand its implications. Chapter 2. Power of Connecting the Dots. You can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. Steve Jobs. Connecting the dots means to put various facts and ideas together to see the whole picture. It can help us understand the historical perspective in the true sense, and why things are happening. Our ability to connect dots gives great insights. The knowledge we possess is the most significant enabler of developing our skill of connecting the dots. Things are related to each other, our action and thought process result from prior experience, and will be based on future consequences. The incidental result of various past factors will impact future events, therefore, our skill in connecting the dots will help us plan our activities better. If you develop this skill, it will help you make informed decisions, which will have long-term implications. In this chapter, I will try to help you understand the beauty of connecting the dots through various examples. 2.1 Bombay Dreams and its Suez Connection. Mumbai, or erstwhile Bombay, wasn't always this vibrant, developed, albeit a business hub in India. If one looks at Bombay's story, you will see so many dots, and when you connect them, you get the story behind the Bombay's success. In 1534, ruler of Gujarat, Bahadur Shah, ceded Mumbai to Portuguese. At that point of time, Mumbai was nothing but sleeping coastal village of 7 islands. For the next 127 years, Mumbai was under Portuguese rule, until 1661. When English Prince Charles II married Portuguese Princess Catherine of Braganza. As a gift, Prince Charles II received Mumbai, a small port town with a population of little over 10,000 people. At the same time, competition in trade was rising with the arrival of British East India Company, with their first major trading hub established in Surat in 1612. This era also saw the conflict between resurgent Maratha power and Mughals. Due to continuous skirmishes between two forces, East India Company was desperately looking for an alternate trading hub and headquarters. Seizing the opportunity, in 1668, British East India Company took Mumbai from the Crown and developed Bombay as their trading hub. This was the start of Bombay's story. By 1675, the population of Mumbai had grown to 60,000 people, and the port city was witnessing ever-increasing growth in business and prosperity. But one event was to happen, which would change the course of history for Bombay, was the opening of Suez Canal. Suez Canal, a narrow passage connecting the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea, opened on November 17, 1869. This small canal, of little less than 200 kms, changed the fate of Bombay. Due to this canal, the distance between London and Mumbai was reduced by about 40%. Also, because of the Suez Canal, cargo ships were now passing through the Arabian Sea, while going to the eastern part of Asia. This also made Bombay a significant port. Soon Bombay's sea trading business soared. Due to higher cotton export, cotton mills started mushrooming in Bombay. They say success brings success, and it was right in the case of Mumbai. Export hub made Mumbai a financial hub, and it emerged as the financial capital of India. Thus, Mumbai's story has a few dots connecting back to the Suez Canal and its transfer to the British Crown. 2.2 How the U.S. government's policy killed Indian cotton farmers. With Mumbai becoming the hub of cotton mills, by the early 20th century, demand for raw material soared. Farmers in Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Madhya Pradesh grabbed the opportunity. Cotton became the cash crop, giving profitable earning to farmers. Fast forward to the 21st century, global competition makes one wonder how a decision taken thousands of kilometers away hits someone sitting in a remote village in India. To grow cotton, most of the farmers depend on credit for their financial needs. The repayment of loan depends on the crop, and for over a century, the supply-demand gap had ensured balance skewed towards Indian cotton farmers. By the 60s, Indian cotton supremacy was challenged and overtaken by the U.S., as it became the largest cotton producer. With China coming to the second position and India at the distant third, the U.S. was not happy with its business interests' continuous challenge. U.S. farmers informed their government officials that it's getting challenging to export cotton at a lesser price than India and China, hence, they won't be able to export cotton. To defeat China and India on the pricing turf, the U.S. government announced heavily subsidized cultivation and cotton exports for its farmers. This action flooded the market with cheaper cotton from the US, and the cotton price dropped across the world, damaging the Indian and Chinese cotton industry's earnings. In India, this resulted in a slowdown in the cotton industry, which forced factories to shut operations in Mumbai, Surat, and other parts of India. Thousands lost their jobs, and inadvertently, millions suffered in the hinterland of the country. Low income, uncertain future led to suicides, and farmers' mass exodus towards towns searching for menial jobs. Thus, a decision made 12,000 km away from India led to the suicide of thousands of Indian cotton farmers. However, since 2019, India has again become the largest cotton producer, with China trailing in the second position. However, the cotton market is still uncertain, and now, instead of the US government in charge, the market is mainly dependent on private players in the agricultural industry. We are on the subject of farming, hence, let me share another incident related to farming in India. 2.3 Indian Green Revolution and connection with the Vietnam War. India gained its independence in 1947, and as expected, the British had drained India, leaving behind an economy in tatters, industries in shambles, and Indian populace at the mercy of heaven. Indian food grain production was not enough to feed its population of 360 million. On the contrary, the United States was producing much more wheat than its consumption. U.S. enacted a law, Place 480, under which the U.S. was giving free wheat to countries in distress. Obviously, it was part of their diplomacy, but it was still a noble gesture. Upon request from the Indian government, the U.S. agreed to give them free wheat. This program was called Ship to Mouth. As India was getting free wheat, there was lethargy amongst Indian politicians and as well as bureaucracy. No real efforts were made to increase food grain production in India. However, things changed when the U.S. went into war with Vietnam. India morally supported Vietnam in war, which irked the U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson. He decided to reduce the supply of wheat to India, to teach India a lesson. India's situation became so grim that the then Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Lal Bahadur Shastri, had to request their citizens to fast one day every week. After a lot of persuasions, the U.S. resumed supply of wheat to India. This episode was enough for the Indian government to open their eyes and focus on increasing farm productivity. The Indian government deputed the best agricultural scientists to work out a solution, and help was sought from Mexico, which had seen an agricultural revolution. With the continuous focus of the subject, within 5 years, by 1971, India achieved self-reliance in food grain production, and the import of U.S. wheat under PL 480 stopped. Today, India stands tall in the global food supply chain, and features as a top grower of agricultural products in the reports of FAOSTAT, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. 2.4 Canada's connection with Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. You might be wondering as to what people of UP and Bihar have to do with Canada, and the same way what people of Northeast India have to do with the Middle East. Yes, you are right. Actively, there is no correlation, but passively, yes. Let me explain. In the mid-50s, many Punjabis migrated to Canada, thus leaving a vacuum in their backyard for workforce. This was due to the shortage of workforce, i.e., agricultural laborers, and, therefore, laborers from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar migrated to Punjab searching for greener pastures. In those days, laborers' conditions used to be very bad in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, thus, migration to Punjab helped them live a better life, and these migrant laborers started sending money back to their villages. Thus, indirectly, Punjabis living their Canadian dream created an opportunity for people of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. In the same manner, once the oil economy boomed in the Middle East for construction and other labor-intensive jobs, Keralites moved there. This movement left Kerala with a workforce shortage. Northeast Indians filled the gap in Kerala's workforce, as there weren't many job opportunities in their homeland. Thus, the economic boom in the Middle East helped the northeast of India, indirectly. The purpose of this example is to tell you that the implication of anything is widespread. Our actions could affect many more, and even the ones who are not on our radar. The government and its policies play a significant role in our life. Let's go through an example in which I have tried to put forward government policy. Mistakes. 2.5 How government policies can affect the economy of states. Industries need raw material to manufacture goods. Heavy industries are the one which acts as an enabler for the small enterprises. Iron and steel industries are an example of heavy industry. The finished products are used in small industries to make household things. Thus, heavy industries are popularly called mother industries. Most of the heavy industries need minerals. India is a mineral-rich country. However, deposits are confined to limited states of Orissa, Jharkhand, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, etc. In an ideal world, states with rich deposits should get the benefit of their mineral-rich soil. When India got independence, there was a demand that there should be equal opportunity to all the states to produce goods. In principle, it was a good idea, as it looked like it provided an equal opportunity for all. Freight Equalization Policy, 1952, was adopted by the Government of India to facilitate the balanced growth of the industry across the country. This meant a factory could be set up anywhere in India, and the central government would subsidize minerals transportation. Most of the mineral deposits were in Bihar, Orissa, and Madhya Pradesh. Therefore, ideally, the industry would be benefited if it sets up a manufacturing unit near the source of raw material, as it will reduce the logistical needs and the cost attached to it. However, due to the freight equalization policy, the transportation cost was taken out of the equation, resulting in industrialists putting up factories in Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Tamil Nadu. These states had an added advantage over mineral-rich states in the form of seacoast, which was used for export and import. Thus, government took away advantage from mineral-rich states in the name of equal opportunity. This diabolic policy introduced remained in force until 1993 when the government scrapped this policy, but it drained every possibility of bringing prosperity to the nation's mineral-rich area. After effects of this policy can still be seen in the poor and undeveloped states of Jharkhand, Orissa, and Madhya Pradesh. Sometimes, a solution, which seems to be working, becomes part of the problem. Let me share a story. 2.6 The snake effect. The snake effect occurs when an attempted solution to a problem makes the problem worse. This term originated as an anecdote. The story goes back to an incident in British India. Unfortunately, there were too many venomous cobra snakes in Delhi. People were dying due to snake bites, and it became scary for almost everyone to step out of their houses. The then governor had to get into action to stop this menace and offered money for every dead snake. He thought, once all snakes are killed, the problem would be solved. The results of the reward program were great. A large number of snakes were killed for the reward. The governor thought that his idea has worked. Eventually, however, it led to some severe unwanted consequences. After a short-term dip in the snake population, surprisingly, it started going up. This happened because few people began to breed snakes for income. When the news reached the governor, the reward program stopped, resulting in the snake breeders to set the now worthless snakes free. As a result, the snake population further increased. The simple solution to a problem made the situation even worse. A similar type of incident like the increasing snake population happened in Vietnam, which was a French colony then. The administration realized that there were too many rats in Hanoi, and unfortunately, the spread of plague was imminent. Therefore, they created a reward program that paid a prize for each rat killed. To obtain the reward, people needed to provide the severed rat tail. As expected, after initial success, people, however, started noticing rats with no tails. This happened because the rat catchers would capture rats, cut off their tails, and then release them back into the sewers to breed and produce more rats, thereby increasing the rat catchers' profits. Obviously, the reward program was called off. The unintended consequence of a well-intentioned idea sometimes makes the problem worse. Let me share another example of an idea going wrong. 2.7 How a logical decision proved to be wrong. During 1957-58, millions of Chinese people died because of hunger. The food, grain production was inadequate for a population of 635 million. Back then, the Chinese believed that birds and rodents eat some food grain. Hence, if these birds and rodents were killed, it will lead to additional food grain. Therefore, the then president of China, Mao Zedong, commanded Chinese people all over the country to come out of their houses to bang pots or utensils and make the sparrows fly continuously, with an idea of sparrow dying out of exhaustion, which, in March of 1958, people did. Sparrows also were caught in nets, poisoned, and killed. By some estimates, 1 billion birds died, and there was a widespread belief that shooting birds would bring prosperity. However, ecology does not work this way. When the sparrows were killed, crop production and food grain availability indeed increased, but with time, something else happened, which was much more unexpected. Pests of rice and other crop erupted in a magnitude never seen before, and as a result, crops failed, i.e. deficient food grain production. Starvation due to shortage of food grain led to the death of an estimated 35 million Chinese people. Chinese ornithologists, those who study birds, had found that, while adult tree sparrows mostly eat food grains and fruits, their babies, like those of common house sparrows, tend to eat insects. By killing the sparrows, Mao and the Chinese had saved the crops from sparrows, and as a result, insects got a free run, in the absence of any predator. Finally, Mao, in 1960, ordered sparrows to be conserved. This proves the fact that we value something only in the absence of that thing. The beauty of ecology lies in the fact that everything plays a role in our life. During school days, you might have come across a dilemma about how mathematics helps in real life: algebra, geometry, trigonometry, calculus. Statistic, permutation and combination gave nightmare to many. Let me share an exciting story involving war and a mathematician. 2.8 How a mathematician helped Allied forces to win the Second World War. During World War II, Germany had an edge because of its naval strength. German U-boats unleashed terror throughout Europe, but U.S. shores were also well within the German submarines' attack range. Do you know, during the first 3 months of 1942, German U-boats sank more than 100 ships off North America's east coast, in the Gulf of Mexico, and the Caribbean Sea? Many of those ships were within the sight of land. In war, communication plays a very important role in the armed forces. German forces were using the Enigma machine to send wireless communication internally. The Enigma machine was developed in Germany. Shortly after World War I, was used to encode and decode messages. For the next 2 decades, the German military refined the technology, until it became the Nazis' primary means of secret communication. During World War II, Enigma technology continuously altered throughout the war, making the challenge of breaking German ciphers extremely difficult. British forces wanted to break the code, to know the internal communication of German troops, hence, the British Army gave this responsibility to Alan Turing, a mathematician. He made a range of code-breaking machines for cracking German ciphers, which included an electromagnetic device, called the Bombay, which countered the German Enigma machine. Though it's not possible to quantify the exact impact of Turing's contributions through breaking the code, some military historians estimate that the World War would have been continued for at least another couple of years, and 2 million more lives would have been lost, if Alan Turing and his team hadn't cracked the way to decode German communication. Without Turing and his team members' efforts, the Allies would have continued to face a severe disadvantage against the German forces. Shortly after World War II, Alan Turing was awarded Order of the British Empire for his work. Do you know Alan Turing is known as the father of the computer, and also the father of today's artificial intelligence? Alan Turing is considered to be the father of modern computer science. He formed the concept of the algorithms and computations with one of his inventions called the Turing machine. Turing had moved to London in the mid-40s and began working for the National Physical Laboratory. Turing was instrumental in design work for the automatic computing engine, and ultimately created a groundbreaking blueprint for store program computers. Later on, his concept has been used as a model by tech corporations worldwide for several years, influencing the English Electric Deuce design and the American Bendix G15. Credited by many in the technology industry as the world's first personal computer. Nowadays, artificial intelligence is a buzzword, but do you know that Turing played an important role in bringing artificial intelligence to our lives? Turing wrote a paper in Journal in 1950, with the headline of Computing Machinery and Intelligence, and proposed an experiment known as the Turing test, within effort to create an intelligence design standard for the technology industry. In the last several decades, the test has significantly contributed to the field of artificial intelligence. By the way, the British Armed Forces have played a role in your life. Don't know? Okay, let me help you with another anecdote. 2.9 cell phones and British Armed Forces. It will not be wrong to say that mobile phones have become an integral part of our lives. Research shows that we spend more than 4 hours every day using a mobile phone. In the late 60s, the British Ministry of Defence decided it wanted flat screens to replace bulky and expensive cathode ray tubes, like old days black and white television, in its military vehicles. Scientists suggested liquid crystal displays, LCDs. The problem was that they only really worked at high temperatures. So, even they knew that the solution was not feasible. British Ministry of Defence requested George Gray, at the University of Hull, to work out ways to make LCDs function in room temperature. After a lot of effort, he succeeded by inventing a molecule, known as 5CB. This molecule helped LCD to work in room temperature. By the late 70s and early 80s, almost 90% of the world's LCD devices contained 5CB. Later on, the same technology was replicated in cell phone screens. This molecule is still in use in some cheap watches and calculators. Thus, George Gray has contributed to our most used device, i.e., smartphone. Therefore, there is a story behind every success. If we know the genesis of success, it is easier to learn and use that learning in real life. It's not easy to connect the dots because it is impossible to understand the story, or simply enjoy it without knowing facts and the complete story. This skill can help you to get an edge over others and excel in life. So, what is required to develop this skill? The answer is again curiosity, more comprehensive knowledge, and a little bit common sense. In the next chapter, we will go through the importance of communication. Just keep in mind that no communication is also a form of communication. Confused? Do not worry, let me make it easy. If your girlfriend or wife is not talking to you, or not picking your call, isn't she communicating something?